Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at hempvillecbd.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
Welcome to the Filmsteins, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier will grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmsteins, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. All around you. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmsteins. Thank you for joining us today. I'm joined today by my unjust friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone. Unjust? All right, I guess.
You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmsteins. Some recent episodes include our 20 most anticipated films of 2024, our first episode of our new series covering rumors and topics, our analysis of The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snacks, and District 9. Oh yeah, and of course, Barry Jenkins' Moonlight. And today we are covering another Barry Jenkins film, If Beale Street Could Talk. Please enjoy. Barry Jenkins had two films back-to-back in his filmography get nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. That's pretty crazy, right?
That's pretty impressive. I feel like that doesn't happen very often with, not super big names like Spielberg.
Yeah, I'd wonder if that has ever happened with
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg, actually. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but he seems like he gets nominated at every Oscars I watch. So I don't know.
I don't know. That's fine. I mean, I have no idea because I'll continue to die on the hill that Steven Spielberg has lost his touch entering the 2000s. So I haven't kept up with the Oscars that much. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's where my my knowledge lacks. Actually, it lacks everywhere. But I don't know much about the Oscars besides who actually won.
Yeah, we're getting close. I'm getting excited for Oscar season. I think the nominations get announced at the end of December, I'm pretty sure. So we're closing in on them.
It is December.
But today we have more important matters to discuss. The very acclaimed film, I guess, If Beale Street Could Talk. I'm very curious what you have to say about this film because it sounds like we are maybe living in each other's camps. And Moonlight, you didn't like Moonlight as much as me.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't think I liked If Beale Street Could Talk as much as you.
I agree.
So change my mind.
Well, I definitely really enjoyed this film way more than Moonlight. And even after talking about Moonlight, I thought maybe I would have them kind of close to each other. But then doing my research on this film, I can confidently say I do enjoy this way more than Moonlight. I really liked and just appreciate how much love went into this movie. Not only from a production point of view, but from the topic itself of the film. There was just a lot of love for love's sake in this movie, and I really like that. It's a romance film, yes, but I still think that there's way more than just romance, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah, there's a interesting backdrop with this kind of almost so warm to a sappiness.
Yes.
At first glance, at least, but it's on the backdrop of Fonny being unjustly arrested.
Yeah.
That's okay. And we're focusing on Tish, not Fonny, not Fonny's family. We're focusing on...
We're focusing on her dedication.
Yeah.
To this relationship and her life. How it feels on the other side of it. Normally, movies would focus on him. They would focus on Fonny
or the legality of the situation.
Yeah, exactly. But I like that fresh, for me at least, perspective. And the cinematography in this film is stunning. I mean, it's as stunning as Moonlight. I think it's the same guy, James Laxton. He did Moonlight. He did If Beale Street Could Talk, and it looks like he's also doing the Mufasa.
Whatever that means, yeah.
What do you mean?
It's a CG movie.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
But he definitely has a style, so they'll be able to capture some of that for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully, unless Disney just tries to neuter everyone that's has any kind of ounce of creativity.
I hope not. I mean, this movie sounds very promising. And it'd be really hard to fuck it up, but leave it to Disney to fuck it up. Just some of the warm colors that were in this film and a lot of the close-ups. Oh my god, there were so many close-ups. Just were captured really well. The performances were great, and I really like the parents' performances. Both Tish's parents and Fonny's parents. But, I mean, everyone else did a pretty amazing job in this film. I didn't know it was an adaptation of a book, and based on what you told me, it sounds like a really successful adaptation in the sense of he went with what he felt and his inspiration.
Yeah, it reminds me of The Shining in that way, because it became a very character-driven movie versus a book that encompassed kind of a little bit more of a situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will say off the top, I guess, that I wish we got more out of the parents. I wish we got a little bit off of Tish and got the family involved a little bit more. Because I didn't love our romantic focus. I mean, it's very well done, very well executed. Tish has a very intense, sadness and hopelessness in her, / being hopeful, but like kind of being in a position of like not knowing what to do. Kind of like the Chiron characters and stuff, there's just a silence to them that's really loud, really, in how they feel. But I just didn't care for the story. I guess I just was not on board with this story.
That's because you're not a romance guy.
I guess not. This is a good test of that. I recognize the crazy level of artistry and production and how it's shot and how people are captured, man. Because the close-ups are nuts.
Yes.
Especially, I mean, I'm biased just because I like his face and seeing him as much as I can, but Brian Tyree Henry, Paperboy.
Yes.
He looks awesome on camera all the time. I don't know what it is about his complexion or something. Like, even in the Godzilla movie that he's in, he looks good. I'm just good, like, why he's so camera ready to the highest degree. He's just, and then in the dark room when they're smoking and talking about, him being locked up and stuff and what he went through and stuff and that he didn't even do it. It's just like, god damn. I thought Tish's dad was my favorite. I can't remember his name in the movie, but
Joseph.
Joseph?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joseph was my favorite character.
Yeah, for sure.
By the time we got to him.
Yeah, Joseph and Alice, which is Fonny's mom, were my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, they were probably my favorites.
Yeah, then Tish's dad would probably be my second, just because that's probably my second favorite performative piece where Tish tells her parents and her sister that she's pregnant. That might be my favorite part, but my favorite overall kind of scene, but my favorite specific performance is probably Brian Tyree. Like, they're awesome. Like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 kind of awesome sections, but I'm just not here for the movie. It's so funny. I hate it in me that I don't like this movie more, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you're just not a romance guy, and you're not a romance film guy because they're still together. You like it when either someone dies or they're not together. like La La Land or 500 Days of Summer. There's a little bit of sadness at the end of this film, even though they are still together. It's like they're tired of everything they've had to go through, and Fonny's still in jail. So I thought that would make you kind of like it, that it's not just a mushy gushy, they live happily ever after.
I absolutely do like that angle because it feels kind of like Moonlight in that way that there isn't a beginning and end to the narrative. We're just kind of taking a snapshot out of these people's lives and seeing what it looks like over the course of these few months.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in Moonlight, 2 decades. But so I like the lack of like narrative we got here. Like it's really loose and very just character driven, and there's not a lot of point to anything as far as a narrative goes. And I like that a lot. I like that slice of life kind of thing, and like Moonlight too. I like we were saying, I really like that it's like caught in a melodramatic way, but it's really not melodramatic. It's just that artsy fartsy camera work coming out that's really cool. But I like the level of romance versus the unjust that has happened that we don't even really know much about.
Yeah.
We have to trust Tish and everyone that he was actually unjustly arrested. There's probably a little bit more in the book on that, but we don't get enough texture to even really form an opinion about the situation other than the fact that Fonny's been arrested. We can't really get too much. We're not in the jury. We're not seeing any of that, which I really appreciate.
Yes.
If anything, I wish maybe we got less lawyer and more just family time. We didn't get an awful lot of lawyer, but I didn't like the divergences of Tish's mom going to Puerto Rico and doing that. I didn't really care for all that. Like that, I feel like that we got a little bit lost in the weeds on the situation, but the situation's important at the same time. So I'm just like, oh, it's kind of that's to some degree what would happen. I don't know. That is kind of melodramatic in a way. Her mom,
very melodramatic.
Even if it did happen, if it's based on true story, I'm not sure. But her mom going to Puerto Rico is kind of funny in that. And then I don't know. I guess those little divergences really kind of. I don't know. They didn't lose me, but they kind of lost me.
Mm-hmm.
So splitting hairs really, because it's still a great production. If this was someone's favorite Barry Jenkins film, which I guess he's only got 3, I think. I can't say anything about that. That's awesome. It's a great movie, no doubt.
Yeah. I really like that we focus on Tish and just her rooting for her man. We don't see a lot of that in film. We don't see a lot of the black girl being the one that has to step up in whatever situation she's put in. And I can't get enough of just the pure love that goes on in this film, and just how supportive her mom is, how supportive her dad is, how supportive her sister is, and even how supportive Frank is, which is Fonny's dad.
Oh, yeah.
Her mom flew to Puerto Rico. I think that's very important because it shows not only the love she has for her daughter, but the love she has for Fonny. How many mother-in-laws, I don't know if they ever did get married or not, but when she went to Puerto Rico, I don't think they were married. And I know marriage is something that kind of seals the deal for some families to, okay, now you're part of the family, now I have to help you. But they weren't married here. And the mom flew to Puerto Rico to try to get that Victoria lady to come back and fight for Fonny. And who does that? I can't tell you of any moms I know that would do that for their daughter's boyfriend.
How many moms or dads would do that for their kid? That's a big ask.
That's a huge ask, yeah. Especially in the 70s?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I think that whole bit is super important.
Sure.
You also have, you have the dad and both dads, you have them stealing for Tish and Fonny. Tish's dad doesn't need to be stealing because the money that they were making for stealing was going towards the lawyer and for Sharon to go to Puerto Rico. This wasn't for Tish, really. It was for Fonny, I guess directly. So it's just amazing that, you're writing the story to capture that kind of whole family unconditional love. And there's many other scenes where we see this kind of love motif when the store owner stands up for Fonnie and Tish, when the cop is getting a little too pushy, and probably my favorite scene of all, when Frank slaps the shit out of Alice. I mean, that whole scene was just so crazy. She is cursing, literally cursing, like not cursing at, she's cursing with, dark magic at an unborn baby that's her grandkid. And Frank just comes in and slaps her and is like, what the hell are you saying, what are you doing, woman? I mean, oh god, it's so good. And I just like that scene because you have two parallels right there. You have the really supportive unconditional love mother, and then you have the mom who's gonna let her beliefs, they're not married, they shouldn't be having sex, so they shouldn't be having a kid, and she's letting those beliefs just poison her thoughts and not even thinking that this kid is hers. This kid is her family. So I love everything about that scene. And I guess the last bit, we also have that scene with Daniel and their interaction there. And that's not, for me, that wasn't exactly a love scene, like a scene where love is the driver, the crucial point. But I also love that scene a lot. It's one of the more intense scenes here. I'm glad you brought it up. Is that your favorite scene?
Yes, that is probably my favorite scene because I like the escalation of it and how it reminds me of that Lucas Joyner song. I can't remember the name of it.
Who?
He's a rapper.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the name of that song, but it just gets more and more intense about him and his brother, or him and his best friend, and how his best friend becomes like this, makes lots of money and executive and stuff, and then how he helped facilitate the early process of that, and how he now needs a little bit of money or something, and his friend just totally ignores him.
Oh, damn.
And it's like a really intense fucking song. That scene reminded me of that song. But it's either that scene or the one where Tish tells her parents and her sister that are my favorite scenes. Those are definitely my favorite too. And my third is probably that last interaction behind glass where Tish and Fonnie are talking, where his eye is busted.
Where he gets mad?
I can't remember if he gets mad, actually, but I like that scene.
Yeah, I like that scene too, where he's given up, he's defeated, and that's not his character. But it is, but it wasn't what I had him pictured as in my head. So, there's some complexity there. But going back to that scene with Daniel a little bit, this is the first time that I really noticed the intensity of a scene and how louder and louder and louder the score got. And I wish I knew more about instruments and what instrument is playing at that time. But apparently there was a lot of trumpets and a lot of brass instruments in this composition, which I didn't know that. I just know it was something loud, but not drums. Like, I can tell you drums, and maybe I can tell you a guitar, but maybe a piano too, but that's about it. But it was probably the first time I noticed the score in a scene here. Like, I noticed it, in the background, and it all flowed so well and beautifully that it didn't stick out until here.
Mm-hmm.
And just the I don't know what other word to use besides the intensity here. And it made that scene a lot more intense.
Yeah, certainly. And then we got more close-ups. We got closer and closer to the characters, and you can almost feel Daniel like glisten. He started like sweat almost.
Yes.
And his eyes were tearing up, and it was just, I mean, it's the definition of an intense scene. Like there really is no other way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because yes, a score should first and foremost not get in the way of the movie, and a great score will basically capture you in such a way that you just are in like total flow mode. It's a way to immerse yourself and forget. And it's just kind of a funny feeling when you come across a scene like that and it just escalates and escalates and escalates. And I don't know, that's very cool that you noticed that. I noticed that, I guess, because I noticed it for the first time at some point, and now I notice it, so I guess there's no going back now.
Now I'm gonna notice it more.
Yeah. Well, not more, because it's a rare thing.
So notice it when it's very well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also thought this scene was very scary, almost frightening. How he looked, Daniel. You said his actor name like a few times, but yeah, he looks Brian Tyree Henry. He looks scary here. I don't know. It's so weird because he looks scary, but he looks so sad. So you want to give him a hug, but how do you comfort someone that's been through what he just went through? And Fonny, how does Fonny even react to that? So I'm kind of glad Tish comes in and breaks the tension there.
Yeah, that's just one of many signs of a great storyteller, especially a visual storyteller, and just a great use of, I guess, naturalism in general. Because a lesser filmmaker would have kind of put a pin on that by making a joke or being like, you know what, let's go out and get a drink or something.
Or maybe even making them hug or something that's just not really the point here.
Yeah, but instead we got something that naturally elevated and only accelerated because when's the last, Daniel's probably been thinking about this for how long? How long's he been out? Like 3 days? Is that what he said?
Yeah, not very long.
This has been eating him alive for years now. He was locked up for like 2 years or 3 years or something.
Like 2 years, I think, yeah.
So Fonny very well might be the very first person that he's able to vent to in this way, and so it's captured in a really great way for sure. And then Tish, pulling up, it's the kind of situation where like she's like, oh, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, oh, nothing, just being boys.
Nothing. Did you bring any more beer, woman?
Yeah, some like that happens,
yeah,
all the time. Like when you're talking, you're gossiping or something, you're talking about something, someone comes in and then you get real quiet because it interrupts the whole flow of the situation. So that's a star scene of the movie for sure.
Not to mention, I think at this point we already know that Daniel is back in the system. I think the lawyer lets us know. So the audience knows that he's back in. So I think for me that made the scene even more intense. And it's crazy.
Yeah, I think shortly after that we see Fonny with his busted eye and everything. You're just like, man, it keeps, we all know, I guess, because we've seen other movies, we've seen Scared Straight and other cop shit, I should say. What can happen behind bars and stuff, but they keep it at arm's length, and it's kind of left up to your imagination, though, all the same.
Yeah, and then Tish never asks him what happened.
Yeah.
What'd they do to you? She knows.
And this is not the time or place to talk about it. That needs to be on his terms, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. There's another scene that I'm struggling with how to feel about it, besides other than it was funny, but I know it wasn't supposed to be funny, so maybe you can help me place it. But it's the scene when the mom goes to Puerto Rico to find Victoria, and she's trying to convince her. She shows her a picture of Fonny and Tish, and she's trying to convince her to, come back and help. And then the mom touches her kind of close to her neck and her chest where she has a cross. And I don't know what she says to her, but she touches her, and then Victoria just goes crazy. Like, why are you touching me? And we know she got raped, so I don't know. It felt like it should have been an intense scene, but it was just kind of funny to me. Like, why would you touch her? And then she just I don't know. She goes crazy and leaves her, and now they're fucked. She's not coming back to help.
It was kind of silly. It was weird that she touched her too. That was kind of strange. But I mean, I can't help but to say Victoria's a fucking baby.
Yeah, and then she said, "I can tell you've never been raped." And
Like,
okay,
this is got just playing the victim all over it. You know, like I'm now all of a sudden not sure if you've been raped. We were on your side, you know, but
now we're not.
This outburst is a little childish. So I don't know. Yeah, it was a little silly. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's hard not to laugh at that.
So my reaction was appropriate.
And based off of Tish's mom's response, I don't think we're supposed to be laughing at this either. This might be a little bit of a fluke in our psyche or filmmaking.
We're supposed to feel bad because I don't, we know she's not lying about being raped, but we know she doesn't even know who raped her. And maybe there's a joke there on all black people look the same to
non-black people.
To non-black people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe.
So we're yes, feel sorry for victims, but that was just, I don't know, that was it. Was it out of place? I don't know. The mom was just trying to reach out.
It's a little weird because it also comes across like it's a little bit making fun of people who, get wronged in some way or another, and then everyone who gets in their way has to pay because it's everyone's fault because I'm the victim. It feels, I can't get away from it looking funny.
Okay.
I really can't. But because the mom acted that way, I can't help but to believe that it's supposed to be a little bit more intense. Maybe if she didn't scream, it would have helped not make it so ridiculous.
Yes. Maybe if she just would have backed up and just, maybe some silent tears coming out.
Yeah.
And just kept backing up and backing up. But the screaming, that's probably what got me.
Because the screaming screams someone who's just trying to get attention. Doesn't scream, it doesn't mean anything else. It just, that's what a 3-year-old does. You know what I'm saying? Not because they're in pain, but because they're not getting their way. Because something is messing with their 3-year-old emotions.
But nothing is happening to her here. No one's asking her to do anything besides come back and testify. It's not like they're asking her to, I don't know, meet him.
Yeah, but something is happening. She's being so-called accused of the situation even happening in her eyes.
Gotcha.
That's what's happening.
And she's being accused of accusing the wrong man.
Yeah, she feels like she's being attacked, and this is a very victimhood, problem. It feels like I can't get away from the fact that it feels like she's a little Twitterite getting messed with by someone who is not afraid to stand up to these, fucking marginalized people online type thing. It's what it looks like. But it's funny because this book is from, I don't know, whenever James Baldwin wrote it. I don't know if that particular part is even in it, I guess, but it may help. It may just be part of the movie to help sell it.
Yeah, the book is from 1974.
Okay, so right when the movie takes place.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So I'm going to stand on laughing here. That was my reaction. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
There was also another scene around the same time there that also confused me. I didn't laugh at it, but that one was just confusing in general. Was when the mom, which is a visually pleasing scene, no doubt about that, but it's when the mom is looking at us and she has the wig on and she's just kind of sadly staring at us, and then she takes it off. But then when she goes sees Victoria, she has the wig. So I don't know. I was confused about that.
See, when the book was written, racial tensions in the United States were very high. I can't help but to believe that there's something racially motivated about little bits and pieces like that, including the one with Victoria, maybe. That there is something there, but I'm not I'm not exactly sure what it is. Is she trying to conceal her blackness, that
Mm-hmm.
she has, curly hair? Because, I guess people will do, they feel like these small things kind of protect them from other people knowing, even though I guess people know. But I guess out of sight, out of mind kind of thing too, though. If you're constantly reminded about something you hate, but you can easily just conceal it, maybe you won't be reminded. The other person won't be reminded or something. So I don't know. That was a little weird too.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a point about being authentic and probably about to have a very real and authentic conversation with Victoria. So she took the wig off to be herself. But I think she still has the wig when she goes and sees her. So
Yeah.
I scratched that.
And I also don't think this movie's all that symbolic in that way, like
Okay.
Moonlight is. Not that it's trying to be. I think it's a much more one note kind of movie, like, and purposefully so, of course. At least the movie is. The book, I imagine, kind of. I don't know. I would imagine it focuses a little bit more on the injustice, the racial tension, and the romance.
Mm-hmm.
Versus here, we pretty much just get the romance. We
Yep.
hardly have any racial tension. We hardly have any investigation of the unjust, which is good.
Yeah, I guess we have the racial tension in the background.
It's more. I guess it's more kind of implied, especially
Yeah.
because of the times.
And like them not getting their apartment,
Yeah.
But we don't see it.
Yeah.
We just know that you don't get an apartment because they tell us.
Which makes me like the movie a lot more because it doesn't feel like it's trying to say everything. It's really focused. It's a highly focused movie.
Mm-hmm.
And saying this movie is kind of one note, I think, is a positive in this situation. Which just makes me it makes me wish more that we would have focused a little bit more on Tish and the family and less of anything around the injustice of it. Although I do like the whole meeting at the bar with the dads, and then they plot going to steal shit and selling and stuff, and that wouldn't have happened without the having to pay the lawyers and everything. So
Yeah.
that the means to the end there is nice, but I don't know.
And I think another point of this movie is the resilience of this community. We need that injustice to have that resilience.
Sure, absolutely.
And I read, or I heard, I guess, in an interview, Barry Jenkins said that this movie was about love and pure love and joy, but how that love and joy can be taken away from you at any moment.
He said taken away?
I think so.
I would have said challenged if I was him.
Ooh, challenged. Now you challenged, Barry.
Because you can love from afar. Don't let us forget. You don't need to be around someone for 1,000,000 years and you can still love them.
See, that's your problem with romance movies.
Oh,
that's your problem.
I see.
No, you need them here.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, you can love from far away, but no, you want to be breathing in each other's air.
I see.
That's your issue.
Yeah, I'm too ethereal.
Yeah.
I'm not grounded enough.
Exactly.
In the romance.
There, besides the mom's mirror scene with the wig, there were some other shots that I really enjoyed. There was a really cool shot when Fonny is walking back to his apartment, I think, and he's right before he's about to bump into Daniel. And then they have that big moment. It was, as he's walking, there's this like giant apartment building, and he looks like he's an ant. And it just looked really visually stunning. He just looks so small, which how he's about to feel that when he gets wrongfully taken. There's also the scene when the cop is walking towards them after Tish gets verbally assaulted by that guy and Fonny kicks him out of the store, and the cop's walking and he's all fuzzy. He's not in focus. And then when he's really close, we get this big focus close-up shot of his face. I really like that. And then there's a lot of close-ups on Tish and Fonny. But some of my favorite ones are Fonny close-ups and when he's smiling and he's really up close and he's smiling and it's just like pure goofiness and teenage in love. It's so good. It's so tender. And I really like him. And I don't know if I've ever noticed quite this many shots in a film.
Hopefully we're unlocking something in you.
Hopefully. Or this is just a movie where I was on point watching it. I don't know. Do I have to enjoy the movie a lot to notice this? Because I'm sure Moonlight had a lot of these things.
Yeah, and you noticed a lot of them.
But I didn't click with them.
I didn't
absolutely enjoy them and praise them like I am with this film.
That's one way you know a film really kind of talks to you, is when all those pieces kind of fall together in the right way. It sounds like a proper, high-level, highly rated movie in your mind. You might have to recalibrate your entire rating system now because of this.
Yes.
Or film, I'm sure there have been a couple other films that are in this boat, but...
Yes, for sure. Because I'm sure we'll talk about my Letterboxd score in a bit, but I had a problem with it because I would think about other films that I've given other scores to, and now I'm fucked. I also noticed a lot of the colors in the movie, and a lot of the warm colors, a lot of browns, a lot of yellows. Tish wears a lot of outfits that are light, but they're not white. They're an off-white, or they're a really pale yellow, and
greens.
And greens, yeah, but not forest greens. They're still kind of on the yellow-green side. And again, I think I was just really focused here that I noticed a lot of these characteristics in the movie. And even the bricks behind Fonny at the jail cell, or I guess not his jail cell, but when they have that glass between them, I don't know what you call that visitor center at a jail.
Yeah. I don't know.
Even those were yellow behind him. I was like, wow, okay, a lot of warmness, a lot of love, a lot of purity here. And I mean, amazing film. I would just tied everything together.
There's a lot of color theory artists out there working in film for sure, and they're all a little bit different. There's so few of them, I should say, that they all really have their own flavor in wild degrees. And that kind of thing makes me a little bit even more curious about Mufasa, Barry Jenkins' next film, because I don't know if Disney's worked with a filmmaker quite as flamboyant and creative as Barry Jenkins in a while, at least. I'm not gonna get started on this, but that's gonna be one of the biggest nut punches if they get to him. And if it's the check, and it's just a one and out with Disney, all right, Barry, you do you, man.
Yes,
I'm fine with that.
We are in agreement for
selling out.
We are in agreement of selling out.
Yeah, sell out where it matters and where it makes sense, for sure. But yeah, of course, this kind of stuff reminds me of Do the Right Thing, because that feels warm in a different way, I should say, in that it feels hot. That movie feels very hot, intentionally so. If you watch it, you already know. I didn't know there were colors associated with family and connection and stuff, because they I don't know, they managed to tie that in a really sensible way. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, even the chair where the dad's sitting is that kind of green. And later we see, I think, Tish wearing that green as a sweater. And oh my God, it was awesome. I think you'd find this interesting, but in that interview I saw, Barry Jenkins mentions that it took him 10 days to write the script for Moonlight, but it took him 5 weeks to write the script for this one, which I thought was really interesting. And he also said how Moonlight was just, I don't think he used the word simple. That's just what I'm translating.
I think Moonlight's a little bit more of a natural story to tell. I think it's very much a very linear story to tell. And I think that probably helps with writing, because especially if he's at the same time thinking about shot lists at all, I can't even fucking imagine, because if Beale Street Could Talk is not linear. So thinking, like, literally how it's told, we jump around through time. So, and then wanting to do someone like James Baldwin justice is probably a lot of weight. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's one of the most important writers of the last 100 years. So I can't imagine that not having some major impact. And I guess also knowing, I'm not sure when he wrote this. Did he write it before or after Moonlight? Or
he wrote this immediately after
writing Moonlight or the release?
He wrote this immediately after writing Moonlight.
Okay, so
like the next day.
That's awesome. He didn't know about the success that was about to come.
No.
That's cool. Because I was going to say, after the success of Moonlight, knowing the weight of that, it's a lot to live up to. So that's very cool. Yeah, that's not surprising though. That's not surprising to me.
It was surprising to me, so.
I mean, I dare say Moonlight writes itself a little bit, especially when you introduce so much symbolism.
Yeah.
It starts the puzzle pieces kind of fall together, I think, a little bit more obvious. If you can see it, I guess. If you can kind of see that, and he obviously could. So that, I think that's, yeah. I thought you were going to say years, too. If Beale Street could talk, I almost said walk, that it took him years to write, which is, I hate to say it, but if a script takes you years to write, you should throw it away.
Damn.
If it takes you years to get made and like to get funding and stuff, that's whatever. That's the logistics of it all. But if you're writing this thing for years, like maybe 2 years max, throw it away. Start over. You can use some of the same elements, of course, but just start over from scratch. Because I don't think you have a proper vision. You're too mixed up.
That's true. That's very true. In this same interview, it was Barry Jenkins and some of the cast. It was Tish, Bonnie, and then both sets of parents. And it was a very nice interview because they had a lot of chemistry. And I always like when I watch these interviews and the cast has chemistry. I've seen some very awkward ones with very forced jokes, or someone calls something out that maybe the other person didn't want to get called out. And you could just tell there was a lot of love there for each other. Because even when Barry said that it took him 10 days to write the script for Moonlight, the mom, Tish's mom, I don't know her actor's name, she was like, okay, wow, like, brag about yourself. And it was just so cute and just like playful, a lot of laughing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that.
I want to talk a little bit about when Tish told her parents about her pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And really just her dad, in that I liked his little micro evolution of being told that his little girl was pregnant, and he was just like, are you sure? Do you want to keep it? He's just being a dad, and it's just that little performance probably reminded me most of Juan from Moonlight, especially the first instance with him and Chiron, and that just felt something really concerned and charming and sweet about the whole thing, and how it just quickly was like, okay, you're cool with it. I'm cool with it. I can't wait now. Just something really fun and natural about it. I like that a lot. That might have been my favorite scene, but the one with Daniel was hard to beat.
Yeah, that scene when she tells him, it's a very suspenseful scene, because here she is, 18, 19. She's about to tell her parents she's pregnant with her boyfriend's kid. They're not married. And you don't know how they're going to react.
Yeah, this is our introduction. Our introduction to Tish's kid, or to Tish's parents, is when she's fucking telling them that she's going to have a kid. It's like, this is the worst time to get to know someone.
Yes. And I didn't know what I was going to expect. I mean, I was going to expect some anger and some yelling and no support, because this is typical of not only teenage pregnancies, but I'm assuming Black families' teenage pregnancies. Just how angry parents can get And I mean, not only just black. I mean, in my family too. You know, and the Hispanics, the Mexicans. Your mom's gonna yell at you, call you stupid, ask you what the fuck you're gonna do now. I mean, you know, they can get crazy, and it didn't. And I think that's when this film really started speaking to me on the unconditional love level, because it's not just love, it's unconditional love. And I loved it. And then the dad's reaction, how it went from, are you sure, do you want to keep it, it happened when you were apartment hunting, didn't it, to, all right, we're gonna support you. Let's get everyone over here, let's tell everybody, let's have a party. And then before Frank and Alice get there, there's this little quick scene with Joseph and Sharon dancing. I mean, that scene is like, what, 10 seconds? And they're just dancing. And I think the sister is like, you guys need to get a room. And he's like, we're just dancing. And just that intimacy there. And just how happy they are for, you know, welcoming new life. That's a good scene.
Yes, sir. Well, it says here that Regina King, that's the mom. That's Tish's mom.
Yes, that's her name.
She won for Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars.
That's awesome.
And then it was nominated for, you know, a bunch of other stuff, so that's cool.
That is cool. Good job. If Beale Street could talk cast.
When are we gonna get my boy Brian Tyree Henry a Oscar?
For real. He's in enough things now. Just saying.
Yeah, he's in enough really excellent things, actually. I don't know, maybe he's got an Emmy for Atlanta, I'm not really sure, but I think he's in a movie called Outcast, I think it came out last year, and it's supposedly really good. We'll watch that. He's the main character, that one.
Is he our Black Leo?
Maybe he's our Black Leo.
Yeah. Maybe he's got
to crawl inside of a fucking bear.
Yes, he does. All right.
Obviously. What do you think of Pedro Pascal showing up? He looked really off, didn't he? He was like really white.
Did he?
He looked weird, right?
I thought he looked like a great Puerto Rican.
Is that what was going on? They paled him up a little bit so he look a little more Puerto Rican.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
That must be what it is. That must be what it was. Because I was like, he's not that white. They pasted him up a little bit.
I like that. I like when some of these renowned actors are just placed in a movie like that. And I mean, even David Franco made an appearance here as a Jewish landlord of all things.
Which is funny.
Yeah, which is funny. Which, you know, he just loves love, which is such a David Franco thing for him to say.
Yeah, I feel like it's a sign of letting go of your ego, and I think it's only a compliment you can give to the world and to yourself, kind of two-way compliment when you take such tiny roles in whatever production. I think that's cool because you never see a Leo do this.
That's true.
And I'm
like
sure
that.
Leo's a egomaniac, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know, but I have never seen him in a small role.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's interesting.
Pedro Pascal is just in love with being, you know, the it guy right now. He thinks it's insane and fun, and you know, he seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's in this.
I think I told you about that interview where the interviewer tells him that people are calling him a daddy, and he's kind of like, what? And then he's like, all right, I'll be your daddy.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for watching this film with me. I believe I appreciate this movie even more now after talking about it.
Good.
It deserves some extra thought. It's just hard to give that extra thought when you're not in love with the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, when your, main character didn't leave their partner, of course.
Exactly. I wanted Fonnie to fucking die in prison.
Exactly. I'm so sorry that
And then
there was love here.
And then I wanted some time to go by where the kid started asking about his dad, and then I wanted Tish to tell him what happened. Well, your dad got beat up in prison and killed. That's what I wanted. Yeah, man. Do you have a budget guess for me, though?
I do. My budget guess is 10 million. Because that was my original guess for Moonlight. But no, that one was like $1 million. But after the fame of Moonlight, I imagine this went up a bit. So I'm like, okay, 5 million maybe. But then we have some very S tiers, A tiers actors. I'm thinking of the parents, really.
Yeah, I don't know what all they're in. Regina King is an Oscar-winning actress, so.
And then Dave Franco is a known.
Yeah,
name.
I'd say he's A tier. I think I guess maybe the major qualifier of an S tier is maybe a major award-winning actor.
Okay, so we have some A's and some S's, maybe.
Yeah.
So that kind of bumped up.
Sure.
My quality, but my budget number, the quality of this cast. So I went with 10.
Yeah. Well, that's a good guess because it says here that it was 12 million.
Yes.
So they demanded quite a bit more money. It's kind of funny because it's really not that much more production-wise all that ambitious than Moonlight. I would actually even say maybe no, it's probably about the same. It's kind of surprising that it's that high.
Well, we have a lot of sets here. We have different apartments. We have a lot of streets. I mean, the mom went to Puerto Rico. I doubt she actually went to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, definitely not.
But then we had to bring that in. And with Moonlight, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of walking around and different settings. It was his place, Kevin's place as grown-ups, and Juan's place, the beach, which the beach is free.
Not for a film crew. They gotta get licenses and stuff.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. Well, unfortunately, he didn't make as much money though.
No.
Made 20.6 million, so
no.
It did okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
It deserves more. All right, by the look of your face, it doesn't deserve more.
Because I would imagine, Pedro Pascal. At this point he was on the rise. He wasn't as big as he is today. And then Regina King. Are they asking for a lot of money in this kind of movie, or do they know that it's just not going to demand all that much? So they're like, all right, we'll take, $500,000 or whatever. So I don't know.
I mean, hopefully they're the latter.
Yeah, thank you for watching this movie, and more importantly, thank you for talking about this film with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for showing me this movie. I don't think I would have ever watched this if you wouldn't have made me.
You're welcome. You can thank Moonlight, because that's why we watched it. Because of Moonlight. Originally, the pick was going to be La La Land, because of
thank God.
The Oscar mix-up. But remember, you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of The Filmsteins over on Patreon, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all the goods.
The goods.
But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Filmsteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is The Filmsteins, signing off.